Hi, this is Daryl at 10 Foot Truck Good Attitude Services. I just wanted to follow up on the video I did yesterday. I had some points written down on. I had some ideas I wanted to talk about. Just when I was thinking about that customer, and it just popped in my mind about things that I did that I believe help keep those repeat customers for years. For years. Them calling you and using you as your services, because I've been working for that customer for a couple of years now, and it started out with a Craigslist ad. Initially, they needed me to move a washer and dryer. I did that for them to an apartment, and after that, they needed their firewood replenished before winter. I did that, and then they needed that done a couple times, and they also needed some moving and some more appliance removal, and picking up some washers and dryers and that kind of thing, appliances and stuff. So it worked into jobs, and it'll still continue to work into. And I also did a junk removal job for them. So because they have apartments and things, they need regular business like that. They need regular service, and they need help with the truck or with labor and the firewood. So what my point was is that of course, when I went and did the job, they saw that I knew what I was doing, that I had the proper dollies and things to do that kind of work, that I did it with care. And then from there, of course, they're gonna want to use you again because they trust you, and that building up that trust is the first thing. And showing that you can do the job, having the right kind of tools, and being careful with things. Another thing that I think helped, and here's another thing that I did just last job that I wanted to mention, just a point that I came up with that really helps with customers is being honest when something happens on the job, like you damage something. The last job when I was doing the firewood, I was coming down with a wheelbarrow, and there's a fence, and the wheelbarrow has a big jagged metal piece or on the wheel like a hub. It accidentally jammed into the fence, and it put a bunch of nicks in the fence. And it was a nicely painted fence, so I looked at it and go, well, I'm gonna have to let her know, right away. She wasn't there to see it, but I wasn't gonna walk away and just not say anything, because it's just not my policy. I'm honest with anything that I damage, whether furniture or property. So I let her know, and I said, I'm sorry I nicked up your fence with a wheelbarrow. And she said, oh, don't worry about it. That happens. We can replace that. No worries. But I'm really thankful, or I really appreciate you letting me know. So in my mind, that stepped up the trust with that customer, because she knows that if anything goes wrong in this job, so I'm not going to just brush it under the table, or I'm going to let them know if something happens. So that builds up more trust to the customer. So now, in their mind, the trust is that high with you. They know that you're going to be honest. So I think that's important. That's happened in several other occasions, not just that job. I've built opportunities with in the past by being honest in that way, where it turned into a long-term job because of that. Another example is years ago. I was picking up a couch at a consignment store for a customer that needed it picked up at the store. I'd never been to this store. So I went there, met him. Long story short, we picked up the couch. We're going out. He's on one end of the couch, I'm on the other. We're taking it out of the store. We ended up running into a table, and it was a glass table, and it knocked over. Now the customer kept going. I can't. He's not really seeing what's going on. And he proceeds to go right out, put the couch in the truck. And then as soon as it's in the truck, I was ready to go back to see what happened to the table. He was already in his car, and he's taking off. He said, "Follow me." So since it was my job to take the couch, I just followed him. But in my mind, I'm like, God, I gotta let him know. I felt bad with that table getting knocked over. So after the job's done, I go right back to the store, and I find the manager and say, hey, I'm sorry about I introduced myself. I said I was the one who brought the couch out. Sorry about knocking that table over, and I see it's broken. I'll replace it. I'll pay for it. It's my fault. And then the owner said, don't worry about it. We have insurance, so we'll cover it. But I appreciate your honesty. Can I have your card? And so I gave her my card. And from that point on, I started getting calls from her, because customers would need things moved, and she would just call me to help, and I proved that I could do the job. And that went on for years until the store closed. So you see what I mean? It's like by being honest up front, It may cost you if you have to pay for an item, but in the long run, by being honest, they're going to trust you. It's going to be at that level of trust that you really need for a regular on-call referral type thing. Because she referred me to a lot of other people too. It was a great situation. And just like this other customer, by being honest, building that trust, letting him know if anything goes wrong, and not trying to hide things like that, because really that puts you at a different level as a service provider, because you're building that trust with your customers. So that's what I wrote down here. Of course, having a fair price and doing the job with care and correctly. I just wanted to mention that because I think it's very important to make sure that if something like that happens, I know like a lot of people have certain types of insurances and stuff, but make sure you tell them, if there's damage or anything, and make sure you take care of that, and make sure because that'll show them your quality of and your what's the word for it? Your character, that you're an honest person, an honest service provider, and that puts you up at another level. It keeps you at that level where they're going to call you back, they're going to refer you, and because they're going to trust that whoever they refer you to, you're going to be honest with them too. So just wanted to put that out there. It's a little short video. Good points for if you're doing service, whatever service, in-home service, commercial, whatever. That's something to keep in mind. Anyway, it's raining down here. It's getting cold and it's starting to get dark. This is Daryl at 10 Foot Truck Good Attitude Services signing out. And have a great weekend and prosperous weekend. Signing out.